Notts County Talk, welcome again to another Thursday night episode of the Pavis Perspective, episode 53. George, I don't see a mascot.
She's literally on the next sofa to me, snoring away.
I don't believe it. I'm sure we said the
she'll make an appearance.
The mascot stays as long as not stay unbeaten.
It didn't go down too well, did it? One episode, we said that, and then the next episode, she's gone. So yeah, disappointing. I'm hoping it was just a bit of a blip, and she can make her way back onto the channel very soon. Hopefully, she might even make it back on tonight if she wakes up. But she is panned out, snoring.
Out for the count.
Out for the count. No coming back from it.
As always, we are sponsored and proudly sponsored by Better Bytes Computers. Links always in the description. If you do want to have anything repaired or purchased at Better Bytes, go back to the start of the video. There are discount codes there. Really, really appreciate it if you do that. Fantastic company. Welcome, Ian. Welcome, Ruben. Evening, Chris. Thank you for joining us again. Hi, Richard, as well. Thanks. Appreciate you of the channel. Our question this evening is an interesting one. Do you want to tell everyone what it is, George? What's our question this evening if you haven't already seen it?
Where would you prefer to be competing every season without getting relegated or promoted? Bottom of League 2 or top of the National League?
Have you put your vote in already?
I have.
Don't share it with us, but was that an easy thing to do?
No. It's got its pros, it's got its cons, hasn't it?
Well, you know what I mean. You're a smart lad. I trust you to get it right.
Yeah,
I really do. I do. We obviously we keep the name of the Pavis Perspective the same each week. It's the Pavis Perspective Live with the episode number and the preview. If we were to change the format at all, if mine would have been this week, the Pavis Perspective number 53, no panic. No panic. We lost to Dorking. It's a shocking loss. There's no panic from me at all. What about you?
I don't know. I just think you've got such a way with words.
I know. I did English at A level.
Tantalizing. But anyway,
right, you know.
No, I was disappointed. I mean, obviously, that's for me. That's one of them results where I couldn't really see it happening under Williams. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we're sort of dominated, and don't get me wrong, they do happen. That's football. You know, it doesn't always go your way. But I just couldn't see a defeat like that coming under Williams. And obviously, when they go 2-1 up, we're probably chucking everyone forward. That's why they get their third. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned by it because, you know, the games leading up to that, we've seen a lot of positive stuff. So, and I mean, you're only as good as your last result, like everyone says, but I don't think we are. I think we're a lot better than our last result, and I think we will see that on Saturday. And, you know, massive turnout from Notts fans again. I'm sure we're going to go on to talk about it, but, you know, we got another allocation today. I think it was it 100 or 250 tickets?
Today?
Yeah.
I feel like it was 150. I think that was already 1,600. They got snapped up in no time.
It was literally like an hour or two, wasn't it? It was ridiculously quick. So, you know, I mean, it's about an hour and a half up the road, isn't it? So, well, from where I live anyway. So it's not that far of an away day, but it's still fantastic. What a turnout that is. Fifth tier of football.
Yeah.
Fifth tier of football. There's no other country doing it like this, and not many clubs doing it like this in the National League. So, massive pat on the back for Notts fans. And me and Tom are both going to be there, aren't we, Tom?
We are.
Separately, though.
Separately. We're going up separate. I can't believe it.
You're going shopping, aren't you?
I'm not going shopping. I'm going to watch game of football. You're going shopping, aren't you?
No, I'm bringing my daughter up, trying to get her into the away days.
She's been to Tamworth.
Been to Tamworth, yeah.
And it was 0-0. She's not been since.
No, yeah, that's right. She's been to a home game. Who was that against? That was Dover, so it's not been great for her, has it? Not been the most exciting football.
What's that? 1 goal in 2 games?
1 goal, 2 games. She actually came to Colville pre-season with me as well, so she's been to 3 games. And I think that's pre-season.
Wasn't that when it was like 35, 36 degrees?
Yeah, ridiculously hot. Luckily, we found shelter. It was incredibly hot. But, yeah, hoping to show her what away days are all about. She's really young as well, to be fair. She's 4, so I don't know if she's going to get it, but let's hope she does.
When she sees Langstaff, she'll get it.
She'll get it. He's really good.
I reckon she'll know the song by the end of it. Anyway, we were looking too far ahead. I agree with you. I couldn't see that happening against Dorking under Luke Williams. Couldn't see it happen. The difference is it wasn't a capitulation. It wasn't like what happened against Woking at home. If we take our chances, we win the game. Like, it's not even close. If we take our chances, we don't have to push so far. The third goal doesn't come. The second goal is a freak goal. Like, you've seen the highlights, yeah?
Yeah.
The second goal was a freak goal. The first goal, I'm not a professional footballer by any stretch of the imagination. Like, so we've obviously played on 4G pitches because when who doesn't like kickback hasn't experienced a 4G pitch, but we don't necessarily play enough to know the difference between a 4G pitch and a professional football pitch. How much of a difference does it make? I don't know. The first goal, it's a poor pass out, no hiding away from it. Matty Palmer slips. Does that have anything to do with the pitch? In my opinion, you should be slipping less on a 4G pitch. So I think that's just an unfortunate slip that doesn't have anything to do with the pitch. I can't see him having even watered the pitch because they wouldn't have wanted the ball to go quickly. But I'm looking at pictures of it, and there's a picture where I think it's Cameron goes into a tackle with someone, and it's like a still image, and there's like 1,000 pieces of rubber crumb just flying everywhere. It's not a normal pitch. But saying that, you've got to win the game. You've got to win the game. And I'm really, really, really disappointed because Chesterfield drew.
Yeah, it's a good time to really take advantage, wasn't it? Because we're not going to get many chances like that this season, I don't think, to take advantage of the teams around us not getting 3 points. So it was a really, really good opportunity. I mean, to be honest, I don't think we're going to get a better opportunity like that with us facing the opponents that we were at the time. No disrespect to Dorking. So yeah, big shame. And I just hope it's not one of those that we look back on and say, we really should have won that game. But for me, I think the thing that was, stuck out for me was I listened to the majority of the game. I didn't quite manage to listen to all of it. But even when we went down, in my head, I was like, I think we still won this game. I think we still win. I was like, we win this game 2 or 3-1. And I mean, on paper, we probably should have done. We had the chances. We just weren't at it on the day. We couldn't quite find the perfect chance. Strikers weren't quite on their A game. And unfortunately, it happens. It really does. It's disappointing, but we've lost that unbeaten run now, which is a shame. But I suppose it kind of takes that fear out of keeping that run going as to playing for a draw as such. But I mean, I don't know if Notts are going to be doing that going forward. I doubt they will be doing that going forward. But it's a fresh start, big away following. I think we just need to put that one to bed now.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about this that Chris has put about people saying it's the most embarrassing result in our history. It's not. It's definitely not.
I think it's probably Salford, was it? FA Cup?
No, got to be Hornchurch in the FA Trophy. It's got to be.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Salford's up there. But Hornchurch, like Salford were backed by having like TV cameras there and the fact that they're playing in the FA Cup and they're an up-and-coming team. No one cared about the Hornchurch match and we lost that. Don't get me wrong, it's a shocking result. Like, they had their main player out injured. Their striker, is it Ollie Rutherford, out injured. They had a few other injuries as well. And the fact they've conceded so many, didn't they let us have 23 shots? For a team that was so good in front of goal, it was just one of those days. I do sometimes feel like other teams wouldn't have lost that. Like Chesterfield were losing against Yeovil and they somehow managed to score.
Yeah, that's you can whack out as many cliches as you like, but the teams that are up there in the season find ways to win, don't they?
They do. That's the problem. That's the issue I've got. They do. Other teams do find a way to win. You look at last season. I know I'll go back to it. Wrexham against Dover. They're 5-2 down. Who comes back from 5-2 to win? I know it's Dover. We scored 1 past Dover at our ground when they had nothing to play for. I know it can sometimes make it easier. we've got to find a way to make to get those results. Even if we'd have got a draw from that, it would have been better than a loss, obviously. But we have to find a way to make it happen. We have to. So, and I can't. Langstaff just had an off day in front of goal. There's nothing more you can say, and their keeper had a great day. So
I think I'm just looking through the live chat here, and Chris B's put tactical switch taking job off of Mitchell Costas. I think he's potentially right there. I do. I think, you know, and I'm not calling Williams out because, you know, the tactical change that he has done up to that point have been pretty spot on, haven't they? Really, you can't really say he's got many wrong. But for me, I mean, Jim's legs could have gone. Who knows? I'm sure he won't say that himself. Probably shouldn't have said that myself because he'll be after me now.
But he's just put in. Like, you said the best performance he's ever put in a not shirt.
Yeah,
and he comes off for Mitchell. I don't know. You're never going to get every tactical switch right. Even the top managers don't get every tactical switch right. You're looking at that like we're going for the win. Bring on another striker in a game we're not bossing, but we're in charge of, and we should be winning. I don't know, I'm very, very disappointed. Look, just seen Jim slating George on Twitter. You've had it, George. You've had it. Absolutely had it. And then two more things I want to draw from this. Mo, one more thing. And I think it has to be spoken about. Obviously, poor pitch, some freak goals. Sam Slocum doesn't do himself many favours at all.
No, it's annoying, isn't it? Because he had a really good performance, I think, the week before in the Aldershot game. Like a really, really good performance where he's, you know, done some good saves that can change the game. It's as good as a goal, some of the saves he's pulling off. So yeah, disappointing. It's disappointing to not be able to, and that has been ultimately the issue. I think it's just consistency. The amount of time we've been down here, and even the season we got relegated, the consistency is just not there. We're just lacking that consistency. Like we'll have a really, really good game. Individuals will have really, really good games, and then it'll go quiet. Because they can't seem to keep that form burning, if you know what I mean. And we just need to, I don't know, is it a mental thing? Who knows? I mean, it must be to some extent. But yeah, it's disappointing. Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But we do have a lot of young players that want to push on and, you know, need to be getting that out of the game if they really want to get through the leagues, you know. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here slating Slocum because he has got that in him to be class. But, I mean, I think we've also seen that he does have a bit of an error in him as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, Ian said, I think Sam was at fault for the third goal, but not the other two. The third goal, most definitely. Ball was going wide. He palmed it into the centre. I mean, that's the basics of goalkeeping training. You don't palm the ball into the centre. The second one is a freak goal. The second one is just, I don't even know what to say about that. It's one of those where you completely lose your bearings. You're expecting the ball's coming for a cross. The first, am I right in thinking that Williams said in his post-match that he was screaming for Slocum to play it out wide rather than the short for that one?
I think it was it? I feel like he said over the top, wasn't it?
Over the top.
Scott.
Yeah, to Scott. He wanted it over the top to Scott. That, for me, whether that was just Luke Williams in that moment deciding that, or whether that was like pre-planned and Slocum should have been aware of that. I think the first goal, even if Palmer doesn't slip, is a little bit of I'll use a cliche, a bit of a hospital pass, the first one.
Loving the cliches tonight. Thick and fast.
Thanks, George. Thick and fast. You know, game of two halves and all that. But I think it was a dangerous pass to play when you're that far out your goal. And would they have scored if Palmer didn't slip? No, I don't think they would have scored. But it's still a dangerous pass, and they couldn't have had an easier 3 goals, really. So ultimately, massively disappointing. What I would like to say, and why I'm not panicking, is because I guarantee someone like Aldershot or Maidenhead or even Dorking, Altrincham, they'll beat Chesterfield or Wrexham. This will happen. There's no way either of those sides go for this season without this happening. Last season, we would now go into the York game and probably pick up a draw and not play that well. We have to go into the York game and win now, and then we have to win the Altrincham game the following week, and then we have to play well against Wrexham. Not because I'm demanding too much, but it's because what teams that get promoted do, isn't it? Ultimately, that's what they do.
Yeah.
We'll get onto the York game in a minute. Reading some of your comments. Have I missed it, or was there no Luke Williams presser today?
Tomorrow, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, is it tomorrow? Maybe.
Mm.
Luke says, let's see. Luke says, can you see Slocum being dropped and given new sign a tryout anytime soon? I think if that was in a different position and a player made a couple of errors, yeah.
I think it's quite interesting to see the way Slocum's been kept in, because I genuinely think if Birchnell was still here, I think we'd have got a different keeper in, a first keeper, because it just didn't seem like he was really fancied by Birchnell. But Luke Williams does seem to like Slocum, and I don't think he wants to be chopping and changing the keeper too much, because I think it can be disruptive.
Yeah.
And I think that's his philosophy for the keeping, as far as keeping goes, anyway.
I agree. I think he'll play. Almost definitely will play. Yeah. Do you think if Slocum didn't play, this might be a question where you look at me and say, Tom, you're an idiot, but if Slocum doesn't play and like Young comes in goal, is there enough experience throughout the spine of the team?
Tom, you're an idiot. No, sorry, I'd say that.
That's it for
tonight. I don't know. I think, I probably would have thought more like that before last season. But then Patterson comes in and he's probably the best keeper, one of the best keepers we've ever had.
Playing the championship right now.
Exactly. So I think it's easy to have these perceptions of, young players can come in and, it's obviously there because they're not proven, that if they've got that confidence, if they've got, things can get to them, if they do make a mistake. Like the thing with Slocum, he'll make a mistake, but then the next thing he does won't be a mistake. So he can deal with that pressure of making a mistake, whereas a young player might not have that. And the only way to find out is them doing it. And obviously, you don't want them to find out doing it whilst playing for you. But with Patterson, you didn't really get that. He was fearless. He like nothing really got to him. So some of the times when he was playing out from the back, it was just like a millisecond more and he's getting tackled, or they're blocking the pass. He was fearless. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I think give the guy a chance.
Here we go. There's the mascot. Unbelievable. If you're listening back on Spotify, we've got the mascot, the channel mascot, right behind George.
Can you hear that noise?
Yeah, there's another dog. A banging noise. If you are listening back on Spotify, the dog he's alert. Can we just get hello in the chat for George's dog, because she needs a bit of encouragement to come on after lost, didn't she?
She does. Pixie, say hello. She don't want to look. She doesn't want to look.
No chance. So that then brings me to injuries. I read that with the injuries we've got, I think there's the third smallest squad in the league. I was sat here 2 weeks ago saying I don't think we need to sign anybody else. We then signed Castro, and I said I still don't think we need to sign anybody else. I'm sat here now saying I still don't think we need to sign anybody else. What about you?
I think it's a really difficult one. I mean, you've obviously got to assess the length of the go on, you pooch. You've really got to assess the the injuries and the length, and if we think we're going to see the players back soon, because it can be one of them where you can be stubborn to it and think I don't want to start bringing players in for the sake of a month or 2 months and upsetting players if they're not getting time when they come back and stuff like that. But on the flip side of that, we also need to have options. These games, every game is as important as the next game. So yeah, I think we've got to be careful. We have got to be careful. I'm neither here nor there, but I am thinking if it's longer term injuries and we could see these players out for a month or two, we need to get some reinforcements in for sure.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned with Baldwin if he's not back again this week. Obviously, we don't know yet from the presser, but I mean, he's been out a while. we did bring him in pretty quickly after Williams had said he was already hurt, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And I just worry that we've just swapped Lacey with Baldwin, because if we have, I'm not saying we have like got an injury hit player, but if we have, then we've got Baldwin that can carry an injury, Rawlinson who we know can carry an injury, Brindley currently injured, Cameron who for a long time last season was out, and we were quite weak without him. And then you've got Adam Chickson that's made of like granite, who just can't be hurt.
Oh, don't say that.
Touchwood. So I hope Baldwin is fit. Personally, I saw that he's got the most. He carries the ball the furthest distance out of defence, most progressive, averages 8 meters or something per drive forward. Which, we had Luke Williams on the channel right at the start of this, like a couple of days after he joined. And he said how important it is for centre-backs to drive forward. Now, Rawlinson was really good and composed, but Rawlinson doesn't drive forward like Brindley does or Baldwin does. So all of a sudden, it becomes a little bit of an issue for how Luke Williams wants to play, doesn't it? So...
Yeah, it does. And that's my point. I think we can't be caught sleeping with it. We need to, if we are going to do it, I don't have any doubt that is what's happening. At the end of the day, we've got quite a good recruitment team at Notts. They're not daft. So they will be planning for these things for sure.
Yeah, that channel mascot's just brilliant. I just worry, like, the squad is really strong, and I don't want to bring anything in to upset it, personally. Castro came in. I was impressed with what I saw from him in the Aldershot game. Like, attacking-wise, I don't think we've got any issues, really. We've got that covered. Midfield-wise, I think we've got that covered. Goalkeeping-wise, now it seems we've got that covered. It's just this defence. And we wouldn't be sat here saying that if even one of the players didn't have an injury, Brindley or Baldwin. Who for you is the most important to get back? I know we want both, but if this weekend you could only have one back, York away, who would you want?
Ooh, I'd probably say it's a difficult question, that is, Tom. What would you say?
I'd say Baldwin.
Yeah, I mean
Richard Brindley is really, really good.
Yeah,
he is really good, but we've got players that can progress the ball. And I just think
just
get Baldwin back.
I'm going to say Brindley because I think Brindley's probably been. I'm going to say he's been our best defender.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he's been superb. Obviously, I've seen the majority of games this season. I think he's been. He just really has been that cut above for me. His decision making under pressure for me is the best in the squad.
Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing with you, actually. Ian says, I still think we need another striker. Macross got to get injured. Who comes in? Not Cairo for me. Cairo's a really weird one because he comes in, gets a goal in the Bournemouth game. And you're thinking, look, we've seen him in pre-season really giving it a go. He was at pre-season pretty much when the season finished, and he was back in it in the gym, working on strength, conditioning. And then he gets another, doesn't he? I think he's got 2 this season. Similar from the edge of the box in both games. It was Halifax, wasn't it? And then he's just, you think you scored 2, he's going to kick on. And at that point, I'm seeing him score 2 goals, and I think, here we go. We've got a striker that's like a backup that could easily get 8, 9, 10 goals this season as a backup to Scott, who Scott's quietly going under the radar as well. He's getting a few now. But I'm thinking, if we've got a striker that can get 7, 8, 9 goals, and then you've also got Ruben in that team, possibly Castro, Austin that can get a few, then we're okay. But he's just dropped completely off. And by the sounds of it, I know we spoke to a fair few people that were at the game against Dorking, and they echoed the same thing, that he just didn't look it. He didn't look anywhere near that level. So he's one that just he frustrates and confuses me, because he's got the ability to do what he's done, 2 goals from 25 yards, important points of each game. Then he's also got it where he just doesn't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't look in the game. So I get Ian's point. Do we need another striker? I think we've got enough. But I do get Ian's point. What about you? Ruben, Cairo, Scott, Maka, Castro, Austin, I can all chip in with goals.
Yeah, they can. And for me, you look online, and I feel like a lot of people, the jury's kind of out on Mitchell. A lot of people aren't in favour of him playing for Notts. And what I find frustrating is I really do think there's a player there, but I think there's a player there that needs consistent game time. And I don't. He's just not going to get that at Notts, is he? If we're going to be unless there's an injury, he's just not going to get that at Notts. So I don't think we're going to see the best of Cairo anyway.
There's absolutely zero chance, like what you're saying. There's no chance, even if he's scoring frequently, that he gets picked over either of Scott or Langstaff. There's no question he gets picked over Langstaff, and he'd have to have a very good run to get picked over Scott. Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
So that I agree. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. I really don't know. Let's take this question while we're on strikers. Charlie, question for you both. How many goals do you think Macron and Scott will get combined this season in all competitions? Top of my head, 45 to 50, I think.
I'm going to say 47 on the button.
47 on the button. If anyone could just let us know. I make it 14 so far between them. I think I've got 10 for Langstaff and 4 for Scott. Or should it be 15? Someone will let me know. I don't have it to hand. But I think, Ian says 45 to 50. I think 45 to 50. That'll be an incredible return because then you've got other people popping up with goals. Chickson will probably get you another 15. Austin might chip in with a few. Ruben will still get double figures, I think. There'll be games when we definitely need him. So there we go. Adam says Mitchell is good against more physical sides, like when we play Bournemouth, but against the team we need to stretch and get behind, similar to what last season, doesn't really work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I go one game and I'm delighted to see him come on. The next game, I'm not so sure. So
in the games it obviously does go well. It's great to see him come on and sort of break the negative, because he just seemed to have a lot of negative around him, doesn't he? But then obviously he comes on at Dorking and then that happens. You can't put it all down to him because it's not all on him.
No,
but it obviously doesn't look great, does it?
No, it doesn't. And yeah, it's an interesting one. Right, let's look ahead then. If you haven't already voted, if we didn't get relegated or promoted, where would you rather not compete for a number of years? At the bottom of League Two or the top of the National League, obviously without getting promoted or relegated? I'm looking now, George. What odds on with the bookies to beat York? Not that simple. Nowhere near that simple.
No, it's really not. It's not simple at all. And I said this last week. I think it's going to be a really, really difficult game. Aside that, like we sort of alluded to as well last week, we did fairly well against them pre-season, but we have played them, over the years a couple of times in pre-seasons and done really badly against them. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be careful. It's not going to be as easy as some fans might think. And I'm even going to stick to my guns on what I said.
No, I
am.
What are you going to say?
I think York are a really good side. They've got a really good defensive record. You just I don't know. I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to say it.
Shall I say it for you?
No, I'll say it. I don't think a draw is an awful result against York across the season. At this moment in time, it might feel like a bad result because we've just lost to Dorking. But to pick up a draw away to York, I think wouldn't be the worst result in the world.
Newly promoted side.
Yeah,
after losing 3-1 to a newly promoted side.
Yeah.
To win the league. We want to win the league. We're not doing the playoffs again. I get where you're coming from. Across the season, if we're beating Dorking, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take this draw. But we got embarrassed against Dorking.
I think we have a point to prove, and I think that will go in our favour a little bit. But it's not going to be easy. These aren't going to be a side that we're going to be able to break down. They're probably just going to have a low block, and it's going to be a tough watch, I think, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, Ian says play like Saturday and we win again, and we win at York. That's a frustrating thing. We didn't. It's really, really good that we didn't play badly, isn't it? But we played like we should have won and we didn't. That's what frustrates me more.
Yeah.
And almost, I know you want the good performances, but it sounds really strange. I don't want us to play badly, but it would have been easier to take if we had played badly. I'm sat there listening to the game, people messaging me that are there at 1-1, and I'm seeing Chesterfield at that point losing 9 minutes at a time. And I'm thinking, we've got to go for this. And we still have chances. Like someone's just mentioned, Adam Chickson's chance that's saved. Brilliant save. Like the keeper was on something that day, like really good. But
yeah, and I think you've got to mention that as well, because their keeper has made a ridiculous amount of saves, and some saves that were just so good. It's unbelievable. So you have to take these things into account, where these things are going to happen, where players have freak games, and unfortunately, it was their keeper that had a freak game that day, and is done really well against us.
Yeah. Which three teams, George? One of them might be fairly easy to guess. Which three teams have conceded the least goals in the National League this season, with 7?
I know York have got. Is it York one of them? Yeah.
York. There's one team that barely concede.
It's obviously not us anymore, is it? Boreham Wood.
Yeah.
You're
not going to get the third. You're not going to get the third.
Give me a clue.
They're in the National League.
Oh, what clue that is?
Top half, obviously.
Top half of the National League.
We're yet to play them.
We're yet to play them.
We'll go into their game. Will's driving.
Wealdstone.
Yeah. Could you imagine saying that at the start of the season? I conceded Leicester, Notts, Chesterfield, Solihull, Wrexham. So that just blows my mind that those three teams. I would have said Boreham Wood. Chris says it's definitely not Dagenham. How many Dagenham actually conceded? Dagenham played 9, conceded 73. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
73.
That's phenomenal stuff.
Conceded 17. You'd be interested to know that Dagenham conceded 17. Maidstone have conceded 20. So an absolute hammering. Scunthorpe, someone said 18. 21 for Dorking. And we only put 1 past them. So we'll move on. Like Ian's just said, it happens in games. Take it on the chin. And we'll move on.
Yeah.
Away from home then, you've already sort of said that you'd take a draw here. I get what you're saying over the course of the season, but I feel like you have to play the games as they come. Do you know what I mean? Luke 100%. Williams and the squad, I'm not saying that, obviously you know this, they'll be going out to win that game.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But I feel like we can open them up, and it's going to make Langstaff a lot hungrier and Scott a lot hungrier to keep scoring, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just for me, it just emphasizes how difficult this league is, because they've obviously conceded the least goals. They're going to be extremely difficult to break down, and it's not going to be easy. And I think, you're talking about a newly promoted side there. You don't like, what league do you get that in? You don't get that in any other league.
No, you don't. You're right. It's insanely difficult, and like I've already said, what happened to us will happen to all the teams going for promotion in this division. 100%. Start to think, if you're in the chat, about your score prediction. Don't put it in just yet, because I like them when they all come in at the same time, and it's easy for me to put them up. But start to think. Bear in mind, they've only conceded 7 all season. But they've scored less than half of Notts' goals. They've only scored 10. So they play it very, very cautiously. If I look back at their results, George, 1-1 with Scunthorpe away, you'd probably take that. They've beaten Bromley. Really good. They've beaten Yeovil. I'm looking at the whole game. Scunthorpe, 2 goals in the whole game. Bromley, 3 goals in the whole game. The Yeovil game, 1 goal. 2 goals in the Oldham game. 1 in the Maidenhead game. 1 in the Eastleigh game. They've had no game this season that's had more than 3 goals in. Now, if you look at that with Notts and the games we've had, I've just been saying 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. Notts, 4, 2, 5. There's another 5. There's a 4. There's a 4. There's a 3. Something's gonna have to give either way. Do you see it being low scoring, high scoring?
I mean, my instinct would say low scoring. But then I think we have so many different ways to attack teams now. I wouldn't be surprised to see us score a few, but then we've seen that we can concede as well. So it's really hard to call this one. Is for me, it really is hard to call. But I'd like to think, because we have sort of changed our approach in terms of attacking goes. We're not scared to throw a few long balls in there, crosses, passing it basically to the goal. We're not one-dimensional by any stretch of the imagination, are we? So I think that really does go in our favour now. And I think York this season are a more favourable team to Notts to play than they would have been last season, because we, like I just said, we have more ways to attack, and we're not afraid to change it, because it was the Aldershot game, wasn't it, where we crossed it? I think it was 47 times, and that's not including corners. We've run 14 corners. Like, that is, we've never seen that from Notts. So to have that in the locker it's always good, isn't it?
It is. I'm going to say this as well. I don't want to go back to the Dorking game too much, but you say about we've seen we can concede. We had the clean sheet against Aldershot, clean sheet against Dagenham, clean sheet against Solihull, conceded 1 to Halifax. So we'd conceded 1 in 4 before Dorking. I think we could easily have gone into that Dorking game and come out without conceding that.
Yeah.
The third goal only comes about because we're trying to get an equaliser, and we've already talked about the other two. So I think we could easily have had another clean sheet. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. It's one of those games you can't almost believe you've let 3 in.
Yeah, I think for Notts as well, it's important that we get the away form. It's not bad at the moment, but it's not astonishingly good either. And I think it's important that we put that right, because that for me was the one thing that was wrong last season. So if we can pick up a few more away wins as well, and I'm not just talking about this game, I'm talking about obviously the entirety of the season. I think that is important.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
I think that is something that is at the forefront of Williams' mind. I obviously we've beat Halifax away, good scoreline. Dagenham away. Those 2 games they've scored 9 goals in, so we can do it away. But we just need to make sure we don't fall back into that old habits of not doing that well away from home.
Yeah, Notts have the 4th best away record in the league.
Yeah.
4th best home record in the league. York have the 6th best away record, but interestingly, York have the 13th best home record. So they're not world beaters at home. If I look at their home form, they beat Bromley. They also lost at home to Eastleigh, and drew with Oldham. I do fancy as that's sort of looking forward to. That's looking forward to when I do my prediction. But I do fancy us with near 2,000 fans there. It can go pear-shaped, can't it? I think that's what Shane's saying. Yeah, it's Notts County. I feel like a lot of people say, "Oh, it's Notts," or whoever. Oh, it's Portsmouth. Oh, it's Plymouth. Everyone feels that about their team, but genuinely with Notts, we're just crazy, aren't we? Like, at least those teams have like some promotions and things under their belt and trophy wins. But there we go. Right, George. Before we go on to our lineup, I'll let you decide, because you're a gentleman. Score prediction or lineup?
Lineup
or poll?
Lineup.
Go on then.
What's the lineup? Right, Slocum in goal.
Yeah.
Same formation. So Rawlinson. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday, Canal.
Happy birthday.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Ooh. Bajrami.
Okay.
Maybe put Bajrami in the middle though, and Cameron out on the left.
Yep.
The main and Chicks of wing backs.
Yeah.
Palmer. Job. Ruben.
Yeah.
The other two pick themselves, don't they, really? Let's be honest.
They do, to be honest. I'm going to go under the assumption that either Baldwin or Brindley are fit. Slocum in goal, wing back stay the same, Chicks in the man, Cameron on the left. I'm going to say Baldwin in... Ooh. Baldwin in the centre, Connell on the right, or Connell in the centre, Brindley on the right. I'm gonna say one of those will be back. And then I'm going to say midfield of Job, Bajrami. No, Bajrami and Palmer, Ruben, Scott and Langstaff, and Luke Williams in the dugout for this one.
That's a good one.
Good shout. I think I got that one right.
I'm going to call it as well a ref that looks like he's never refed a game before.
That's almost guaranteed as well. Almost guaranteed.
What?
Right, George. Before we go on to our score prediction, we need a poll. And
we need a poll, yeah. You're right.
I'll be quite honest. We need to have a look at it.
Oh.
This is an absolute. Well,
if you're watching this now and you've not voted on the poll, vote on the poll.
Please, because
we're going to give you a few more seconds because it's nearly neck and neck.
Yeah, Ian, that's my team. Tom, Baldwin and no Brins. Yeah, I think so. Aaron, up the Mariners. Cheers, Aaron. Okay. I think in the wrong league now, though. I know you're jealous of the National League because that's where it happens. Nowhere else would you lose 3-1 to Dorking. So, there we go.
No 4G pitches up there, is there?
No 4G pitcher. Is there? There is, though, isn't there? Does Sutton have to rip it up?
Yeah, you can't. You have to have grass, don't you, in the AFL?
That makes sense to me. Grass. If there's grass at Dorking's ground, we win 6-0. Guarantee. Right, that's it. The vote's closed. George, off you go.
Oh, there's been another vote which has swayed it a little bit, but not massively. So the poll is: where would you rather be competing every season without getting relegated or promoted? The bottom of League 2 or the top of the National League? Tom, I went first. In fact, let's read out the results.
Go on.
48% say the bottom of League 2. 52% say the top of the National League, which basically it's tied, isn't it? I think that
essentially your maths are wrong.
The 62 votes. I think the two voters. It's literally there's two voters in it that have made the difference.
Could be us two.
Tom, I went first with the lineup. I'm going to go first with the poll as well.
All right.
I voted bottom of League 2.
I voted bottom of League 2.
Give me your reasons, Tom.
Get me out of this league. That's my reason. Get me out of this league.
Jimmy Board.
And you know what? I'd rather be in League 2 because getting out of this league is no given. Yeah.
I think one thing you've got to probably might not have considered as well is, League 2 is, League 2 is League 2. That's that.
Oh my gosh! Someone click that.
You're straight into the FA Cup.
Michael
good rounds. You got to win one or two games, and you start playing teams higher up.
Yeah, I was thinking
which can be exciting. You got the League Cup as well. Papa John's Trophy. Everyone wants to win that.
And then obviously it can be exciting because you could get some of the minnows from non-league, couldn't you? Like you could draw one of the smaller ones like Wrexham or Chesterfield, and they could have their big day out.
Lovely, love that.
That could be
absolutely love that from you.
Yeah. See Paul Mallard on Medlane's pitch trying to score.
Mallard,
yeah. But yeah, I think League 2. I'd rather be in League 2. Like you said, the cup draws interesting.
Yeah.
And then it's so hard to get out of this division.
It'd be good to have Mansfield again, wouldn't it, as well?
Yeah. Ian says he'd rather see us win, but I just can't do this league anymore. Could you imagine it? Like 6 consecutive seasons of the playoffs and not going up. Heartbreak. And then at least on the final day, you might have the final day of staying up rather than the final day of losing. So, right, George, score prediction. You went first for the poll and for the lineup, so I'm going for the score prediction.
Shocking.
Right. I'm going Notts 2, York 0. Langstaff double. And then after the international break, Haaland scores, lifts his shirt up, Langstaff on his vest. I've called it.
That is some claim.
I've had a dream.
Some claim.
Langstaff double.
You have to. I'm going to go 1-0 Notts. and I'm gonna go Chicks and goal.
You know what? At this point now, it's not even that like.
It looks like scoring
That's
every
the one.
game. He looks more like scoring every game now than
And
certain players did last season.
Mitchell, what? He does though. He does.
He gets in some good positions, like really good. Like you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, he does. Right, let's see what you guys think. Let's see what people are saying. We've got a 2-1 from Ian. Scott and Ruse. I don't want Ruben to score. We've got a 1-1. That'll please you, George. We've got Ellie says 2-1. Langstaff and Scott. We've got Charlotte says 3-0. I'd love that. Ruben, Maka, and Scott. Hang on. Here we go. There's Grass at York. So 6-0. Chicks and hat trick. Langstaff, Palmer, and Austin. Callum, as always, absolute hero. Quite a few results, positives. I think that's something we've got as a fan base this season. We've just lost, a game, pretty shocking loss, and then we've got the positives coming in as well. Richard says 2-1 Knots, Chicks and Langstaff. Chris, 3-1 Knots, Maka, Scott, and Cameron. And finally, I'll go with Adams. All we've got time for on this one. So 1-1, being realistic. I'd love us to win 2-0, but I think it'll be tougher than people think. It will be difficult.
Yeah.
It will be difficult.
Yeah.
We're travelling up to the game. There will be a vlog for that game, won't there, George?
There will be. Yeah.
If you are feeling uneasy about myself and George travelling up separately, nothing you can do about this one. We will see
Tom's
each other.
going shopping.
I'll give you away. I'm not going shopping. You're going to the M&S, aren't you? That's near there to validate your parking ticket. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Big thank you to George and obviously the mascot for being here. Couldn't really do it without the mascot. Could probably do it without George, but we'll leave that one there.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Over 80 of you, almost 90, tuning in on Thursday night again. You've been really great as always, getting involved. Massively appreciate that. Hope to see you next Thursday when we've got a victory and we are previewing our next home game against Altrincham. Safe travels. And as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.